All right, moving on. Can a struggling Miami team find an offense and salvage a season this weekend against Florida State?
Well, I'm on the call. I've called a couple of these. This is a great rivalry. I know, look, right now, a lot of our attention as college football fans are on the hypotheticals as it relates to the playoff. Well, how can this team get in? Well, does North Carolina have a chance, right? Like we're all doing that. I mean, it's not just satisfying, it's not that satisfying right now as a college football fan to not be in the playoff hunt. But man, rivalry games, and if you look at the numbers, like for us, like we do at ESPN, we have all types of analytical data and polls and focus groups. I mean, you can imagine the amount of interaction we have, at the Walt Disney Company and at ESPN with our audience. I mean, the interaction's immense, and the focus groups and the data-driven stuff is immense. You know what by far is the most important thing? By far, the most important thing to college football fans? Rivalries. It's crazy, right? Like you'd think playoff, you'd think championships. No, the most important thing to college football fans is rivalries. And no matter how you feel about this game and the importance of this game right now as it relates to the college football playoff, because it has no relation to the college football playoff. Miami's obviously not going to make it. Florida State's not going to make it. Who cares? This game matters. It matters. And I love it. My mom went to Florida State. I grew up with this rivalry. I think it's a phenomenal, phenomenal game. And there is no love lost between the two programs. Let's break it down, okay? Florida State's coming off of what was one of their best offensive performances of the Mike Norvell era. Went for nearly 650. You look at Jordan Travis, who's really come into his own this year quietly, right? Like maybe not as many people paying attention because they haven't been frontline billing on a given week. But man, Jordan Travis might have played his best game in a Seminole uniform last week against Georgia Tech, anticipating throws, pushing it down the field, being accurate on low percentage throws. Didn't run the ball as much at all, really. I mean, barely ran the ball relative to what he's done in the past. So I love how he's progressing. The offensive line continues to improve. The wide receivers have been among the most improved groups in college football from where they were last year to where they are this year. And then the running backs are phenomenal for Florida State. And hopefully Trey Ward, their outstanding lead back, or at least he was the lead back coming into the season, hopefully he can get healthy and return at some point here down the stretch. But they're going to be going up against a defense in Miami that is outstanding. Look, Miami's offense, struggle bus, right? I mean, major struggle bus. Can Van Dyke play? If he can't, will it be Garcia? Will they go with, the freshman and maybe think about going with Ja'Cory Brown because he's a real run threat, not much of a thrower, but a real run threat. There's all sorts of questions surrounding the quarterback situation. So the way that Miami can get the win in this game is going to be by forcing a turnover or two and just completely clamping down on the defensive side. The good news is they have some complete game changers on that side of the ball. Leonard Taylor should be a household name. The guy is phenomenal. Completely took over the game last week against Virginia, and they needed him to. I mean, he had a couple sacks, a couple pressures, walking offensive linemen back into the backfield and forcing negative plays. He's awesome. He's going to have to be huge in this game. And the rest of the defense and their structure, and Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator, has been everywhere. Has been at Clemson, has been at Bama, been at Auburn. Now he's at Miami. He does a really good job. That group's going to have to play really well because this is a very, very significant challenge, is Florida State. The one thing I would say, though, Florida State has been pretty human at times. They have been very human at times. See the NC State second half and just some of the inconsistencies that this group has shown at times throughout the year. So I think Florida State has really grown, but I'll tell you this, you talk to anyone associated with Miami's program, talk to anyone that's a fan of Miami, they would punt on the last 3 games if it meant they could beat the Noles. This is going to be their Super Bowl. There is no denying that, and if they can somehow pull it off, it would be by far the biggest win of the Mario Cristobal era so far and would go a long way towards creating goodwill and positivity surrounding his first season at the helm in Coral Gables.